now. You can see me just sweating right now. Okay, there we go, live streaming. Okay, so hey, welcome everyone. We're going to be getting started in just a moment here. I got a few things to introduce first before I hand the reins over to Mark Diaz, who's coming to us from Mexico. He's going to be talking about the 12 fundamentals of animation. It's a webinar we've done a few times before, but it's a really good one. And hopefully you can learn a lot of tips and techniques from Mark in just a moment here. We are recording this for anyone who's worried about missing a part or this or that. We are recording it, and we are live streaming it on YouTube as well. There will be a Q&A at the end of today's webinar. So if you have any questions, put your questions in the Q&A panel there, or section of the Zoom panel there, and we will answer those questions after the webinar today, after Mark's live demo. It's coming up in just a moment here, and we will be sending you out a link for the recorded video later on. And in addition to the link, we're going to be sending you a survey. So make sure that you fill out that survey and get your 10% discount coupon for the content store. Speaking of discount coupons on the content store, I think that's a good segue to over here to the content store. I think everyone should be able to see my screen here. So in the content store, we have a special going on right now, our 23rd anniversary. So Revolution's been around for a long time, 23 years now, up to 60% off. Just use this RL23 any code and save an extra 20% off literally anything in the entire content store, no restrictions. So make sure you check that out. Check out what's good. If you've been like kind of holding off on that content pack for a while, or this content pack, then make sure you utilize that to get the extra 20% off. In addition, as always, there's the weekly freebie in the content store. I encourage you guys to check that out. If you click on that, this month we have the motion here, this handshake motion. All right, this can actually transfer into Cartoon Animator as well. And we can talk about that a little bit later if you guys need. So 3D motions can be transferred into Cartoon Animator. Really cool little plugin we have. And of course, the weekly special as well here. Don't forget to check that out. Destructible Elements. Again, this is a 3D one, so this is not really relevant to the people in this webinar, but I just needed to plug a couple things in the content store. Always check back for new deals and the freebies and all that fun stuff. In addition, any of you who have a student ID card, if you're an educator or a student, make sure you check out our Global Training Center right here. You can go to revolution.com/global training. I'll throw this link in the chat window for you guys, just so you have it. This is where you get a 60% discount on literally any software. So whip out those old student ID cards, or if you're an educator, make sure you take advantage of that. And there's higher discounts for higher levels of purchases as well. So yeah, good stuff. Gets like pretty much dime on the dollar for all the software we have. And that's really about it in terms of promotions. This is the outline for today's webinar with Mark here. This is the 12 principles. He's going to be talking about that later. You've probably already browsed through this if you've subscribed or signed up for this webinar. In addition, later on in August here on the 22nd, that's next week, we're going to be having an Ask a Pro webinar. That's with Gary Pye, who's a prolific developer in our content store. You're probably familiar with a lot of his stuff. He does all kinds of characters and backgrounds and all kinds of fun stuff. He's pretty much constantly drawing on his little pad there and stuff. But he's going to be joining me next week, and we're going to be basically answering the most popular questions, I guess, from all of you guys, our users. Now, if you send your feedback in the feedback form that we're going to send out to you guys after this webinar, that's basically where we get these questions from. So there's a lot of people that have tons of questions, and we often get repeat questions. So this one is going to be a really important one to check out for those of you who are either beginners or intermediates or pros, because we're going to be covering like all sorts of different levels, techniques, functionality, and all sorts of stuff. So make sure you sign up for this as well, and I'll hopefully see you guys next week to talk about this, so like more related to Cartoon Animator specifically, and the techniques and the tools and stuff like that. Cool. Here's the questions right here. So I think, did I forget anything, Mark? Anything else I need to cover? It's okay. All right. Yeah, just thinking back here. All right. That is awesome. And thank you once again, Mark, for joining us, coming from Mexico. I'm going to basically hand the reins over to him right now. He's going to guide you through this 12 fundamentals of animation, and we will have the Q&A after Mark's demo. So go ahead, and if you want to, I think you can share your screen.
All righty, I'm ready.
Not anymore.
Let's share the screen. Can you hear me? Everything good?
I can hear you. I can see you. I can see the screen. We're all good.
Okay, perfect. So what we are going to talk about today is how to create awesome looking character animation with the 12 principles of animation. Okay. So the first thing that I always say to everybody is my favorite quote from Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I might remember. Involve me and I learn. So what I recommend you do is, if possible, open with me some of the projects so you can tinker with them when we talk about Cartoon Animator 5, right? At some point, we're going to do something quickly in a Cartoon Animator 5. I'm going to show you some examples. So type it in the chat if you have Cartoon Animator. If you don't have it, type no. If you have it, type yes. Oops, yes. Type it in the chat. I'm reading the chat. Do you have Cartoon Animator? Devra, you have it? Pierre, yes, yes, yes. Ooh, a couple of you, almost all of you. Yes, but very new, says Cain. And then no, Sharanya, no, you don't have it. Jose, you don't have it. Most of you, yes. Jason, Mark, Hewa, Patricia, you don't have it. And then Marvin, Peggy, only 4. Okay, version 4. It works with version 4. Right, I think it's because you have a Mac, right, Peggy? I think you're the Peggy that I know. Hello, Peggy. And then yes, yes, yes. I don't have it yet, says Angela. And then yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to ask you, for those of you who have it, relax. Just you already have it. For those of you who have Cartoon Animator 4, everything from this webinar will apply except for 2 things that I'm going to mention, 2 features that are exclusive for Cartoon Animator 5, but basically the rest is applicable to Cartoon Animator 4. All right. This webinar was actually designed originally in Cartoon Animator 4. So we just added these 2 other details elements that you can do them, but you have to do them manually, right? It's not automated. Okay, so I'm going to drop a link for you guys to download Cartoon Animator 5. Here it is. And if you need the link again, you can ask in the chat and the team should provide you the link, right? But that's the link. So I'm going to ask you to download it right now so you can open with me some project files just so you can interact with it. There's not much activity, it's just opening it and then while looking through the file with me, etc. Because if you get involved, you are going to learn. But if you just sit down and watch this webinar, you are not going to learn. You will get information, but you won't learn it. It's different, right? And you might remember this information too, but it's only when you get involved that you actually learn. All right. Now, if you want, like, that's for the software, and this is for the project. No, not that one. The project files is this link. This is project files. Let me put it again. Project files, right? And then just in case there's a lag or anything on my end, or if the internet connection is lagging or something, you can use sample videos in here, right? Okay, so I provided all of that in the chat. For those of you watching this as a replay on YouTube, you can check those links below. All righty. Okay, now let's go to the, I'm going to start this. This is okay. I recommend you download Cartoon Animator 5 and also the project files if possible. Now, I'm going to share with you guys. First of all, let me stop sharing. What we want to talk about is the 12 principles of animation. Anyone here has heard of them? Like type yes, type no in the chat. Hopefully you guys already clicked Okay, yes. Okay, a lot of you have heard of the 12 principles. Nice. Yes. Okay, Jonathan, you haven't heard of this. Okay. Everybody else, yes. I've heard. Okay, so the 12 principles are basically, no, I'm brand new, says Jonathan. Okay, all right, and John Lathman. So all of you, most of you have heard of them. Some of you have not heard of them. So the 12 principles are basically a set of guidelines that if you follow them, your animations can be really good. Specifically character animation, right? So basically, before I start, I want to show you two examples of animation, and you guys are going to tell me which one do you like, and the one that seems more fluid, like smoother, and the animation it looks like, wow, this is animation. The other one was done by a beginner. I'm going to show you two animations. Let's check it out, and you tell me which one it was animated applying the 12 principles of animation. It's not this, is here. Okay, so I'm going to maximize this. There's an animation on the top, there's an animation on the bottom. Both have the exact same keyframes, but one has like the 12 principles of animation and the other doesn't have it. Okay, you write top or bottom if you believe which one do you believe has the 12 principles. Okay, here it goes. And play. It's a ballerina step, right? Which one do you think it's more believable? Like top, I read some people type Deborah, type it top. It's obvious, right? Like the difference is like this one is kind of floating. Yes, top. Very good. John, Tracy, Kane, Tony. Yes, the top, exactly. The top animation is the one that has the 12 principles. What's the difference? There's a lot of things going on in here that happen and not going on in here, right? Even though they have the same, like the same keyframes. Like, look, this is crossing the legs and then book, and then the same position again, right? So it's subtle, but it's so cool. So what's going on? First, when I look at this looks like a real being and there's gravity. This one feels like there's no gravity. This being doesn't exist. It's like a ghost or something, right? Like floating. And this one, it's about to fall in here, like in there because the balance, she's about to fall and then poop catches herself with this leg, right? And then continues. And then this position maintaining perfect balance, right? So there's gravity, there's things that make this believable. So what happened when the 12 principles came from the at Walt Disney Studio? The animators that were working with Walt, they were struggling. Like, okay, Walt Disney had like a great vision, right? And then they would give him an animation, and he would go, no, that's so weird. Is we need to make it more real. Like whatever you're doing, it's like a cartoon. That's not real. Give me something real. And then they would, oh, okay. And then they would go and do something super realistic and then bring it to him. And then, no, that's too real. We're making cartoons. And they would go like, what the heck? He wants real and I deliver real. Now he wants cartoon. It's too cartoon. What the heck? So when they were trying to satisfy Walt Disney, they figured like a balance, a perfect balance. And what Walt was not able to explain is that he didn't mean real, he meant believable. That was a key thing in understanding what he wanted. And then they started, as they were like correcting, like, no, it needs like this kind of follow through, which later, since they repeated those words, it started becoming a set of principles. Now, like this squash and stretch, like it's another of the principles. So names started coming out from trying to satisfy the Walt Disney. And then they figured out at some point, they collected all those languages and it was 12. And they called them, okay, the 12 principles. In this class, I'm going to talk about the 4 that I believe are the most important, that if you don't have them in your animations, they are going to lower the quality, right? If you have those 4 principles, I bet your animations are going to look really cool, all right? Which, by the way, let me tell you another thing. This animation is something that I did from scratch, and I'm going to share with you the secret where you can animate anything with this fluidity. This is really fluid, right? Any of you can animate like that right now if you have the patience, right? I'm going to show you the secret behind that at the end. I'm going to reveal to you and then show you some animations that other students have done, right? Okay, so let's get started. Let me stop sharing really quick. I'm going to put this away and let's talk about the 4 principles. The 4 principles that I mean, but let me just tell you, Cartoon Animator 5, for those of you who have Cartoon Animator 4, I will explain which ones are not automated, but Cartoon Animator 5 automated a lot of the principles. Let me just show you this before we continue. Right now, you just see a page that says Art Wars, but let me put the presentation. There it is. Okay, so these are all the 12 principles, right? And just so you know, if you buy, those of you who don't have Cartoon Animator, when you buy Cartoon Animator, you get my entire course on the 12 principles of animation in Cartoon Animator for free. I go in detail on each of the principles. And this is the cool thing. In Cartoon Animator, you don't have to stress too much about those because all of these, 10 of the 12 principles are automated, right? 10. So that's a lot of work, like except in Cartoon Animator, like Cartoon Animator 4, you don't have springs, right? So they'll follow through. You don't have it. You have to animate it on your own. And also the squash and stretch, you don't have FFD, but you can use squash and stretch in other ways. I actually explained that in the course, right? So for those of you who already have Cartoon Animator and haven't checked this course, I recommend you get it. It's free. And you can just, I think there's some instructions in the 12 principle. Let me just find it here. Like if we go to Revolution, 12 principles, there it is, 12 principles, this one. So I can provide this link. Let me put it there. Here it is. There it is. I put the link on the chat, which is available also, should be available on the description below this video for those of you watching the replay. You can see more information about this in here. Just check it out. And yeah, it's the 12 principles. Now, let's talk about the 4 that I consider are the most important. And those are, number 1 is the slow in and slow out. This one is I'm going to go in detail on each one, right? Slow in and slow out. And then number 2 is this one is very key, anticipation. Anticipation, right? Let me correct that. Put this a little bit better. Anticipation. And then number 3, that's just with these 2, I'm putting them in order of importance. Just with these 2, you have a huge improvement in your animation. And then another one is follow through. Oops. Right, follow through and overlapping action. And then number 4 is timing. Right. I would start with this one. This is probably the most important and the easiest to do. All you do in Cartoon Animator is add some some transition curves, right? Let me tell you, where does this come from? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share this one. You should see the presentation, kind of the presentation, but let me show this. Okay, look at this video, right? And this is me. This is some time ago. I'm just going to play this video, and you tell me what you see. What am I doing, right? Like, it's simple, right? Nothing special, right? Just moving the hand from one side to another, right? We agree on that? Now, this is organic movement. That is what they were attempting to do in animation. Now, if I take, let me just open a new project in here, and I take any actor, right? And I just double click. I went to content. For those of you who don't know, who are totally new to Cartoon Animator, in this program, you basically have like a gallery of characters that you can just click and drag. And I didn't design this character. I just click and drag, and now I can animate it, right? So pretty cool. So let's say that I do a quick animation of this character just going like, let me change the sprite. I'm going to do that same movement, but let me just change this. Okay, so if I wanted to do that animation, I am opening the timeline, and then I play. Look, I just put that position and then play and then stop there. She's doing this movement, right? And then play, and then she comes back, right? So I have this animation. Zip. Wait a second. This is how any of you can become better animators. All you have to do is copy a reference, analyze a reference. And this is, if this was with Walt Disney, right? They were doing frame by frame, right? They would record like draw every single frame. Now it's animation is faster. So in here, what's happening is that I'm doing the same movement, but somehow this feels like a robot. It doesn't feel organic. Let's look at here. That feels a little bit more organic, and it's not the shoulder, right? Like I'm also moving the elbow a little bit, but there's something else going on in the movement that this doesn't have. This feels like a robot. What's the difference? Let's analyze frame by frame, and this is something that they did with Walt Disney would hire this guy with a camera, and they would reproduce footage in very slow motion, watching people walking, a horse running in very slow motion, frame by frame. And they would see, look at how my hand is moving. It's slow, 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 pickups, speed, fast, slow, 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 right? And then it's slowing there, it stays there for a little bit, and then boop, 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 and then it moves faster and then slow at the end. It moves actually so fast that it's blurred by the camera, right? So this is something really interesting, right? Like you have this, and then, okay, how can I do that in here, right? If I want this movement to feel organic, I just have to do slow in and slow out. How? Well, I can see that when I added that animation, this added a couple of keyframes in here that I won't touch. Instead, I'm going to click on motion and then get the master keys where it says transform, these ones, right? That's important. I need motion to be activated. Now, I'm going to right click in this one, select transition curve, and instead of linear, I'm going to select smooth. And then select the next one, this one, and then select smooth. So look at this. Now I have this same movement, but now it feels more organic. Because if I go frame by frame, it starts like what I did, slow, and then faster in the middle, and then slow at the end. And then the same going back. It starts slow and then picks up speed and then slow again, right? That little, let me see if you can see. I want to ask the chat if you can spot the difference. Look at this. right? And let me finish the, instead I'm going to do this. Copy, paste. What? It's not copying. Copy, and then pasting in here. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm going to finish this in here and then just play it. Let's see if any of you notice the difference between these two. Right? For some reason, this is not copying. Copy and then click here, paste. Now it's still not pasting. Okay, anyway, this is what I want you to check. This thing that I have in here is, I want to see if you can detect the difference between linear, which is feels like a robot. I'm going to play it again. Look. Tick, 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 tick. Do you see? Now, let's instead do this. Take this and now put it as smooth. And then smooth. And then look. Any of you notice the difference? It is like twinning. Yes, John, it's exactly that. It's twinning, and we can choose the type of transition between one and, okay, a couple of you are noticing the difference. Yes, very good. I'm happy for you guys. Yes, that will bring a lot of really good quality to your animations. All you have to do is just add the slow in and slow out. That will increase the quality of your animations. That was the other problem with this one. The first animation doesn't have that, so it feels like a robot. It feels tick, 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 right? Linear transition. Now, if you want to take it a little bit further, I would also use references for the movements, because look, this is animation without personality, right? That's another thing that they were talking a lot in the 1930s, almost 100 years ago. In Walt Disney Studio, they were talking about this, like the personality. I play this. Let's check it out. This is a character like doing that gesture, right? Now I'm going to do the same exact movement, but now with slow in and slow out. Let's play it. Right? It's the same move, the same keyframes, but there's a little difference in here, right? And that is that the movement, not only does it feel more organic, but if I do it myself, if I do that movement, I don't do this. If I'm going to I don't raise my hands on the sides to make it more organic. I do this. Look at this. I raise them going in like that, right? So I do this, and then now I do going down. Now I do that, right? But when I raise them, I go towards the camera, right? That's a slight difference that has this one. Look, do you see? So that's slow in and slow out. Now let's go to the next principle. That slow in and slow out. We got it. We understand it. Type it in the chat if we're okay. We still have half an hour for the class. You're now turning green with that pose. Yeah. Like the Hulk. Yes, yes. All righty. I'm moving on to the next principle, anticipation. Anticipation was another thing that added a lot of organic and smoothness to their animations, because in the past they were like some of the original animations didn't have much anticipation. Like if the character would jump, he would go like this, right? And it would feel like like Mario Bros, right? Bloop, bloop, bloop. But it wouldn't feel believable. Like, what happened? And then let's analyze someone jumping in real life. What do? We don't just, no, we need to gather energy. That's the anticipation. And then we jump. So I want to show you two examples of anticipation. And here they are. This is bad animation. This is a character running away without anticipation. She's like this, ah, and that's it. Ah, right? She looks more like she's being pulled, right? She's not the one jumping. Let's compare that with an anticipation, right? This one. Look at that. Now this is believable. This is a character actually jumping, which also, if you notice, pay attention, it looks smooth because I used slow in and slow out too. In the course, you will learn how to do this step by step. This is one of the tutorials from the course, right? So yes, look at that, right? That's anticipation, and that's it. It's basically just having something like before you do an action, you put an anticipation. If I'm going to throw a punch, I'm going to have a fight scene. I'm not going to do this with the character. Instead, I'm going to do this first and then the punch, right? If a character is going to stand up, you don't just stand up like this. Whoop. No, you kind of get in position and then you stand up, right? Is anticipation its own action with twinning? Yes, it's a key pose. You have this action. The anticipation is a key pose that you do before, and then there's a twinning between the anticipation and the actual action, right? In this case, by the way, if you have like questions like this one, right on topic of what we're talking about, I can answer them really quickly. Otherwise, put your questions on the Q&A so we answer them at the end. Those questions don't have to be related with what we're talking about right now. You can see that I actually used like this. She goes like this, and then zoop. Those two keyframes are to make this position. I use twinning between those two. So there's two key poses, and then I put one in the middle, like this. I think that's another position. I don't remember. You will see if you get the course. And then this is another one, right? Okay, so that is an example of good animation that has anticipation. Now, there's another term called anticipation, action, aftermath. That is this. Let me just show you. This is a character. When you put aftermath, it means you do, this is the action, for example. You do some action, but you put an anticipation, and then after the action, you add something else like an aftermath. Let me show you the example. This is an animation without any anticipation or aftermath, right? It's just a character pointing to himself. Flat, robotic, not fluent, right? That's good for beginners, right? Now, if you apply the 12 principles, this would take like 3 seconds to do in Cartoon Animator. But if I want to increase the quality and I'm willing to invest time to create beautiful animations, awesome, then I would do this. This one takes like half an hour, I believe. But it's like, no, I don't remember, no, maybe 20 minutes or 15 minutes. But it's so enjoyable. And look at the difference. There's now personality on this guy. Like, wow. There's a little anticipation of the guy going up like that, and then and then he lands like that. And then not only pointing to himself, there's like a little movement at the end. That's the aftermath, like going up like that, right? So if someone is pointing to himself, which one looks more arrogant? This guy? Like, yeah, pay attention to me. Or this guy, right? I instantly, like, yes, like even the acting, like the eyebrows, like, yeah, and the eyes, right? So definitely this is something that I believe anyone can do. Anyone. And there's a whole mini course actually on just how to do this animation. Now, let's talk about the third principle. So far, so good. Anticipation, we got it. Yes, type it in the chat if it's making sense. Right? I'm getting some feedback as a teacher from you guys. I'm learning. Okay, so makes sense. Alrighty. And then there's the third foundational principle, I would say, follow through. This is a way to have your animation like increase the level a lot. If you have, I heard that some of you have Cartoon Animator 4, right? Uh, that is you don't have a feature called springs. I'm going to show it to you here. You can still do follow through. It just takes more time, a lot of time actually. So you can leave, just so you know, if you're using Cartoon Animator 4, you can, there was a contest that it closed recently, right? Yesterday, I believe it was the last day, or a couple of days ago, I think the 12th. But you can win a contest with a really cool animation in Cartoon Animator without follow through, right? Just so you know, it's not a game changer. These two, I believe, are a game changer. So just so you know, if you but I have Cartoon Animator 4, don't worry, you can still do amazing animation without it, right? You can live without it. But if you want to increase the impact of your animations, this adds a lot. I'm going to show you an example in here in Cartoon Animator 5. So this unfortunately is only for people who have Windows, right? Let me open that project file. Which for you guys, by the way, if you have the project files, you will see that you have all the renders that I'm talking about, like all the videos, all the examples, you have them there. And then you have the Cartoon Animator files for some of them. We will see the comparison between the ballerina, and then this is the one that I'm going to open right now, the cheerleader. Let me click and drag. Okay, and yes, Doug says the animation is not so robotic. Yes, when with the anticipation, action, and aftermath. Okay, I want you to pay attention to these two characters. They're going to perform the exact same action, but one of them doesn't have follow through, and one of them has follow through. Okay, and then first I'm going to show it to you, and then I will explain what follow through is. Okay. Let's play it. Can you tell the difference? One of them has a little bit more quality, like, wow. Okay, so just type left if you believe the left one has follow through, or right if you believe this is the right, this is the left. Which one do you believe? The right. Okay, yes, exactly. The right one, this one has follow through. So what is follow through? Follow through is just basically this. When I take, for example, this glove, some material like hair, like clothes, have follow through elements. That is, when I move this thing, it won't move like this. That is an object like solid that doesn't have follow through, like the eraser, right? I move it from side to side. It doesn't have any follow through. It's stiff, right? Now this one has follow through. Look, I move this, and then this is moving first, and then it's dragging. That's the concept that they use to describe the follow through, dragging the movement. And then I stop, and then this thing keeps going on like this. Look, whoop. Do you see how when I stop, this thing keeps going? So how do you animate that? Well, you can animate it manually in Cartoon Animator 4, but since it's a lot of work, I would stay away and just use, for those of you who have Cartoon Animator 5, there's this feature called the springs. And the only difference between this one and this one is that this one has springs. Let me show you. I'm going to composer mode. And then in here, you can see that if I click in this hair, it has bones that I can animate manually. But this one has springs, right? You can see that the bones turned into a color. I won't explain this in detail. There's tutorials that you can find if you go to help and then video tutorial. In there, you will find several tutorials that explain this in more depth. But this is in general. Now, if we wanted to increase the quality even more for this, we could do another principle that it's not foundational, but it's also automated in here. in some of the actions, and that is the FFD. Look at the difference between these one. Both of them have follow through, but this one will also have squash and stretch. Look at how it changes. Oh no, wait. Let me do that again. I made a mistake. I need to open this motion. Let me remove this. Go to the beginning, and then animation is this one. The original one has the follow through. I just eliminated. Look, do you see how it kind of bounces a little bit? This one, that's because it has squash and stretch, right? So it adds a little bit more like a punch to the animation, right? So yeah, let me save this. This is, by the way, this can be animated if I start a new project from scratch. I can do that in a couple of seconds. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 seconds to do an animation from scratch. Look at that. And it's done for me, like with everything, like the follow through, the squash and stretch, everything. All of that is the power of motion clips. And the cool thing is that, yeah, but I'm looking for some action. Okay, I can go to the content store. I go to help, content store, and then in there, I can go to action clips in here in Cartoon Animator. And then let me search, actually search, and for Cartoon Animator. Character creator, Cartoon Animator, and then action moves, for example. And then I can find a couple of them in here. Like, where is it? There was this one, human motion cartoon. I remember there was one, right? Anyway, but you can see that there's different types of this one, human motions. And this one is like, I can click on it and it's just a bunch of movements, right? Yeah, like all of that in clips that I can just click and drag. So it's pretty cool. In any case, oh, by the way, I believe this is available, yeah, for Cartoon Animator 4, for those of you who have that, right? So that's why when I used to do character animation in After Effects, now I use Cartoon Animator when I need this type of animation. Well, why? Because it's so fast to use. Now, let's go back to the last principle. And actually, no, I still want to show you a couple of more in here. Where is it? The videos. Okay, there's another thing that is part of the follow through element, and that is the a term in the follow through that after you have the character stop the movement, instead of the character doing this, and then you hold it like that, instead of that, there's this thing called the moving hold. The moving hold, I'm going to show you without the moving hold and with the moving hold. We have this animation, right? Let's play it. And then it kind of stops. Right? Yeah, it's arrogant, it has personality. And then this one has a moving hold. There's a difference. Like at the end, it keeps moving. Do you see? It kind of moves to a side after the final pose. Like from here, there's a slight movement. Do you notice? Like from here. It's moving a little bit at the end, and even the eyebrow is raised, right? That's the moving hold. So in Cartoon Animator 4, you can apply that, but not the follow through of clothes. And in the Disney guys called it appendages, right? Let's compare both, the moving hold with the moving hold and without. Like this. Really cool, right? So you can see how all these tips help you. Now, I'm going to just share something really quick, which is having the purpose of the 12 principles is to make your animations believable. And that is in here, you can see that this is something that I see a lot. That's why I'm bringing this up. The reason why this walking, it's going to be the same walk. This animation is not working because you can see that the character is sliding, right? That's an error that I see in a lot of beginner animations on YouTube, from some of my students, right? And the reason why this is not believable is because it doesn't take into account the real friction that happens when you walk compared to this one. This is actually a character walk. This is real, right? There's a floor and there's a character, and she steps in there, right? Now there's new there's new motion clips that actually do the movement for you. You don't have to move the character. But I just wanted to call your attention to this. And now let's go to the final one, the final principle, which is timing. And timing basically means that you add, like, the way you change the timing, the rhythm of the keyframes in the timeline changes a lot. For example, if I want my character to feel insecure when he's going to raise his hand, I could stop in the middle like this, and then timing, and then let a little bit, and then like he raises his hand, right? Compared to another character that is super confident. No pause, like from here to here, right? And then this one goes like, right? So that changes a little bit. I changed the timing of the same action. But another thing is that if I explain that in more depth in the course, you're invited to get it. It's free for when you buy Cartoon Animator. So for those of you who don't have it, I recommend you get them, right? And that is, oh, by the way, Angela, you asked in the chat, it was, are the first two identical? Which one are you referring to, Angela? If you can tell me. I have the name of the video. Video 7 and 8? The three cheerleaders. No, they are not identical. Let me open it. I mean, they have the exact same movement, but they have slight differences. So let me call the attention to this really quick, because I think it's important. The last is with squash and stretch. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Then yes, I think you got it. I just, instead of this, I need to add this. Is because I made a mistake in here. This has to. No, I made a mistake again. Stop. Let's see if it works. No, it won't work. It has to be on the beginning like this. Yeah, like this last one has squash and stretch, and this one has nothing. It's just the action. This one has follow through. That's why the skirt and the hair bounces a little bit more realistically. And this one, it has also squash and stretch, right? Okay, so, and yes, answering your question, Kayan, it is recorded. This is being recorded. Okay, now let's go to the last point that I wanted to give. In this course, in the free course, you will find the, like, a more detailed explanation. Where is it? Didn't I open it? Okay, I think here. Let me see. Okay, no, I didn't open it there. I'm going to get it in here. 12 principles. And let me see it as a student. Okay, so you can see that in here, there's like all of these lessons have exercises that you can follow. And I go a little bit more in detail into the timing principle. That is, where's the timing principle? Let me find it. Timing right here, right? And there's some exercises that you can do. Basically, is the rhythm and how the rhythm can change the personality. Now, I want to go to this because I believe this is one of the most valuable things for any of you. And that is, how can any of you animate this with that quality? That's real. Like, you can really do this. Like, any of you can do that quality of animation. All you need to do is have a little bit of patience. And honestly, it's not the patient, is I would say, I think this is really fun. And so what's the secret to this animation? What I did was this. I'm going to open this project file, ballerina, and I want you to check. I should have saved it. I want you to check this. Look, this is the character, right? And this is the steps. This is the actual file that I used to animate that movement. I use this character. Then later I changed it to red because everybody has that. This is only for those of you who have Campus Heroes. But this is what I used. And then how did I achieve that? Let's see the secret. All I did was use a reference. I wanted to open this. Boom. Look at this. I'm going to play it. Boom. Did you see? It's the exact same movement. Busted. Right? Let me go back frame by frame. That's something I love in YouTube, that you can go frame by frame and you can analyze movement really nicely. It's on second 12 in this frame. Look, let's see what I did. All I did was have this on the side, and actually we can do this, right? Let me have that here and this here, and then this. No, not like that. I didn't want to do, instead I wanted this. Okay. Let me go back. Look at this. I'm going to hide this. And let's see frame by frame. Look at the positions, right? And then I go 4 frames forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the position. And then in here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's another keyframe. Keyframe, keyframe. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. I pay attention to the inclination of stuff, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just every 4 frames. Right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how I got the exact timing and organic feel. 3, 4. Right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Crossing that leg like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's all I did. 1, 2, 3, 4. That little jump that it feels so organic and so real. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the little jump. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she lands again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So that's all I did. I just followed everything. Let me move the camera a little bit. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So every single one of you can do this. This can be a ninja, like someone fighting with a sword. So like the only thing that I would recommend is get characters that are not rotating, right? Because that makes it a little bit more complicated. Let me just mute this. And like all of that can be done. But once she does this, and does this rotation, then okay, I wouldn't use Cartoon Animator for all this rotation, because this is now I would require something more complex, and that would probably require more like 3D or something. But everything in frontal angle or 45 angle or whatever angle you have, you can trick it, right? So yes, all of them can do this type of animation, and that's why I'm excited. Okay, so that's it. Now we can go to Q&A. Hopefully this in conclusion is at least make sure you use these 2 principles, right? These 2. Everything else, you can kind of skip them and the animation can still look good, but at least have these 2, all right? Okay.
Hey,
All
I'm
right.
back.
Hi. Ready for
Awesome.
the Q&A.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for that, Mark. That was awesome. And I think a lot of people learned a lot. There's a lot of cool tips and tricks there for just in terms of like the basics of animation. I think that once you kind of are familiar with these basics of animations, you get a solid foundation And that's what kind of Mark is trying to provide here with that course as well. So I recommend you guys check that out. Again, free with the purchase of Cartoon Animator 5. So make sure you take advantage of that offer if you're a trial user right now. But yeah, like we mentioned, I'm going to be doing the Q&A right now. So if you guys have any questions, please put your questions in the Q&A section of your Zoom panel, and we will start answering those right now. All right, we got a bunch already set up here. Are you ready, Mark?
Yeah.
Do this. All right, we got a question from Doug. Hi, Mark. Do you have any course detail on using Photoshop in your creation? That's for you, I guess.
Doug, yes, I do have. My courses are like I either go free or super advanced, right? So I don't have free courses on how using integrating Photoshop like that, but there's a lot of tutorials that Kai provides in Revolution. Like, let me again show you really quick how you can get those tutorials, right? In here, let me go to here it is, Cartoon Animator. Go to Help, Video Tutorial, and it will open the tutorials. And what you're looking for is probably for character, like the PSD pipeline, right? There's one workflows, right? Pipelines and render. Like I would use Photoshop, for example. There it is. And there's a lot of tutorials in there that talk about that. So you can check that. And if you still need something super advanced, then you can get some of my training. We have the rigging mastery, but the investment is quite high because rigging, just so you know, rigging characters is actually a money-making skill. I have students who like they know how to rig, but they don't want to rig. Like they want to pay other people to rig for them, right? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if after rigging, you can also sell in the marketplace,
Yeah,
sell in the content store as well. So
monetize.
there's tons of money to be made there for sure. Good to know. All right. Hopefully that answered your question there, Doug. Question from David. Thanks for coming, David. I recognize the name. How do you apply these principles when your character has purchased animations applied to them? Do you have something? Do you have to
Okay.
do something to bake the animations in before you tweak the curves?
Okay. Quick answer. When you get the motions already have the principles applied for you.
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
you don't have to worry about it. Like someone tinkered with it, like applied the 12 principles, and then it's all done for you.
Yeah, I think most of the 2D animations that we sell in the content store, the marketplace, from Revolution, mind you. I mean, the be aware. I know a lot of people ask the difference between the content store and the marketplace. For those of you who aren't aware, the content store is curated by Revolution, so we check the quality of everything in the content store, and we only publish it in the content store if it meets a certain level of quality, and that'll be a professional level of quality. Marketplace, you can pretty much publish whatever you want. But a lot of awesome stuff in there as well. And marketplace is easy because you can purchase individual items, not just content packs. You can purchase individual motions, so it ends up being cheaper if you only want a specific motion. So just be aware of the difference between those two. But yeah, like Mark just said, anything you purchase in the content store basically is already professional level animation, so you don't really need to worry about that. You can customize them, of course, with other tools, but yeah. Next question is from Deborah. When would you use the other transition curves besides smooth? Good question.
That's to extend. I can actually illustrate to you, Deborah. That would depend on the motion. Actually, that is also answered in detail in the Cartoon Animator in the 12 Principles course, right? That you can get for free with the purchase. If you already have Cartoon Animator, you can just reach out to support. But basically, is like this. Let me just add these and then have a character. Just let's bring the cheerleader. And I would say if I was doing the movement of the character moving her hand, just like I did, I'm going to have a comparison, just these two. And then I'm going to do this. Look, both of them are going to have the exact same. Actually, let me remove this because I want the exact movement on both of them, right? So I will duplicate it after I have the movement. Okay, so I have this. Let me change the sprite to this maybe. And then I'm going to add this. Oops. Okay. And then this, let me go to motion. And so I'm going to have this position from here to, let me go to the top, to here. And then she will hold that position. And then, actually, no, let's go back to this. Copy, paste. Okay, so we have this. Now, right now it's robotic, right? So I'm going to add this little, this tick, 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 tick. Now, if I want to change the effect of her moving her hand, I can have it like as if it was bouncing. Let me just show you what I mean. Transition curve. If I use smooth, right, in here and then smooth on this one, it's going to be just like this on both, right? Oh no, this one was not smooth. Smooth. There you go. So look at this, right? Now, if I instead, I'm going to use this to explain a little bit. I'm going to accelerate, like it's going to go slow and then fast, and then decelerate, like go start slow and then go fast. So this one, if I select this one, this graph that you see in here, look at how this ball is going up, picking up speed. It picks up speed, and then it's going to decelerate. Look at how, oops, no, this didn't work. It's here, and then select the next frame, decelerate. This should be accelerate. So this one is accelerate, this one is decelerate. Look at how that feels. Boom, it feels like it's bouncing, right? So I would probably use it on a bouncing ball, right? Or if I had, like, let me just remove this and have it like as linear. This going back to linear, going back to linear. Both should be linear. Yes. If I have some movement in the middle, like maybe she drops her hand like this, I'm going to remove the constraints. And then in the middle, the hand drops a little bit below like this. You can see that now the movement change, right? Let me put this again in the middle in here. What the heck? Let's see. This movement, copy, paste. Okay, so now you can see that it's going like this. So how can I do that smoothness that I have in the beginning? This would be accelerating, right click. Hopefully I'm not mixing you. This is accelerate and then decelerate. Decelerate. So basically it's like the smooth, right? It starts slow and then it ends slow. And then this one would be accelerate and then decelerate. Right? So it's still organic. So basically I usually go only with these three. Those are the three that I use. But you can explore, like check how all the other ones work. They can be fun, like some jittery, right? Like if you have something like, you can test it, check it out. Okay, Deborah, great. So that was helpful.
Yeah, good question, Deborah. I mean, there's tons of different uses for the other ones as well, bouncing balls and whatnot. And we'll see more improvements to that feature in Cartoon Animator in the future with the curve editor. You'll be able to customize them yourself. So, okay, next question from Turdarius. Was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse animated with this software? It was
Yes,
not. I
I'm kidding.
wish.
I'm kidding.
That'd be great. I mean, technically, I don't know if you even could do that. There's just so much stuff. From what I know, because it's I'm in Vancouver here, and a lot of it was animated here in Vancouver. From what I know, from what I've heard, a lot of it was done with Maya, which is a 3D software actually. A much more complex program than Cartoon Animator 5, I'll tell you that much. And a number of other programs were used to, of course, do the lighting and do the rendering. They did used Arnold and other stuff, but yeah, not Cartoon Animator 5, unfortunately. It's
Yeah.
not up to that AAA Hollywood standard level, I think, at this point, but we're hoping to get
And
there soon.
one thing that to have three Darius, one thing to have in mind is you can get a lot of quality or a lot of speed. You have to sacrifice one of those two. Like either you take a long time and the quality is amazing, right? So the time efficiency is really low, or you work super fast and the quality is lowered, right? Now, what happens with Cartoon Animator is that it's the fastest and decent quality, right? You can have a really decent quality, not to the quality of Spider-Verse, but still you can get really decent quality. All right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there's definitely, it all depends on what you value the most, for
mhm.
sure. You can whip up stuff in Cartoon Animator 5 in like a day.
Yeah.
The professional level looking stuff. I've done it before, so you can do it too. A question from Deborah here. Can you edit the keyframes of pre-made animation from the content store packs? You definitely can, Deborah. You need to use the edit motion layer tool. I believe it's called in Cartoon Animator 5. Um, the basically the keyframe editor. So I think Mark just showed you a little bit of that. So hopefully that Mark's demonstration there with the curves there, the ease in and ease out. Hopefully that answered your question there, because you can edit pre-made
Like
motions.
motion clips. I think
Yeah, yeah.
Deborah. I don't know that. Like how let me open.
Yeah, you can for sure. I mean, you basically just did it, didn't you? Like right here.
No,
It's
but I
originally a
mean
motion clip.
I
Oh,
I think I think what she refers to is like, yeah, the motion clips, but maybe instead of having, let me check that. Instead, she's going to do some weird movements with her hands.
yeah.
Ah,
So
okay.
that's a motion clip right now, because you see the clip in the motion track, the
Yes.
yellow clip there, and all your keyframe edits are going to be below that in the specific tracks.
You can add movements to this, yeah.
I
But
think that's what she's asking. Yeah,
if you want to change, like instead of this, I want to have another position, the rhythm, you want to change the timing of this movement, then that I think that's something different that you can. There was a flatten motion clip. I can click here, and then it translate that into keyframes, I believe, or something. No, what was it? No.
flatten takes away the keyframes. So
No.
yeah.
Okay. Let me undo it. What was it? Sample motion.
Sample motion clip will give you the keyframes.
Yes.
But it'll give you a lot of keyframes.
Yes, it's going to be, and then you can edit those keyframes. Let
Yeah,
me do
there'll be a
sample,
lot. Yeah.
and it
Um,
would be frame by frame. So you can remove some and just delete some, and then you will have the keyframes that you can move. Right. But yeah, in
yeah.
short, yes, I don't know which one. Hopefully the two answers were useful. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely edit them for sure. And you don't even need to sample the clip really. You can just put edits there and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Like if she's walking, you can stop the motion for one arm and then have the arm do this.
Yeah, I think we should try and maybe have a webinar in the future on just motion editing and Cartoon Animate. I don't think we've had that for a while.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on the next one anyway. It's from John. Has CTA 5, does it have a way to import motions from Mixamo? Yeah, John, technically, yes, you can. You need the what's it called? It's not called Live Link. It's called, what's the iClone to CTA one called? You have to own iClone as well. So what you do is you import the motions from Mixamo into iClone, via like FBX format or whatever format it is, and then you use the plugin. Um, that there's a plugin that transfers 3D motions from iClone into Cartoon Animator. Um, I haven't used it for a long time. 3D motion for 2D animation. So it's called Motion Link, not Live Link. Sorry, Motion Link. Live Link is another 3D plugin we have. So I'm gonna throw this in the chat window for you guys. If any of you are interested, you can take 3D motions and you can actually import them into Cartoon Animator 5 via this Motion Link plugin. So I just threw that into the chat window. If you want, you can take Mixamo Motions. Again, obviously there's a little bit of disparity between the 3D
Slightly.
motions. It does try to translate it, like it scales the arms bigger if it's coming closer to the screen, or like it tries to imitate the 3D motion. But there's sometimes there is a lot of editing involved, but sometimes it looks really awesome, like right off the bat. But sometimes there is a little bit of detailed editing that needs to be done. So good question, John. CTA 5, importing motions from Mixamo. Yes, you can do it. The answer there is in the chat window, the motion link plugin. And you, of course, need to have iClone 8 for that as well. So just be aware of that.
I have two questions before that one from John. That one was Mark
Oh,
is
I scrolled down too far. Whoops, my bad.
okay. There you go.
All right. So John, you got yours answered ahead of time just because I scrolled down too far in the questions here. Okay, but question from Deborah: can you edit the keyframes of
Yeah,
pre-made
that's
animate? Okay, that's the one I answered. Okay, so I clicked that. All right, there we go. We're back on track. Question from Doug McMenamin. Mark, is the detailed included in the CTA 5 training? Is this detail included in the CTA 5 training 6-in-1 bundle I bought in July?
Ooh, can you type in the chat, Doug? I can read it right now. What detail? Is it
Yeah, Doug,
the
you probably need
springs?
to because we don't answer the questions live, so you have to kind of
Yeah, like
elaborate a little bit for us.
if you can elaborate, tell me right now. No? Okay. Probably thought you were in the chat.
We'll wait for Doug for now.
Yeah.
Or we'll go on to the next one for now.
Next question. Yeah.
So this one's from Anonymous. I ordered CTA 5 right after it came out, and I have so many purchases I overlooked, but I got it now. Okay. So thanks for your patience. I'm glad you're happy, anonymous attendee. Okay, so Doug mentioned in the chat here. I
Yeah,
asked you guys
answered.
about the 12 principles. I'm good. He says he's good now.
Okay, perfect.
So okay, we'll just take your word for it, Doug. Next one from Kian here. How long do you think it will take to make a 15-minute animation show? How about I'll do a quick answer, and then Mark, you can follow up. I think it really obviously depends on the level of quality you're looking for. Like Mark mentioned earlier, you can do a great quality animation, but it's going to take you a long time. A 15-minute animation show, it really depends on what kind of context you're using, what kind of requirements you have. If it's just two heads talking, you can do it like live with facial motion capture using your iPhone. You can just do it live basically. So it would just take 15 minutes. But if there's a lot of like props, effects and squash and stretch, all the techniques that Mark was just mentioning, it's going to take you a lot longer. I think Mark has probably done a few of these, maybe not 15 minutes, but Mark, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, like I have students who do 15-minute animations. There's this one, Sophia Samuels. She does animations to teach things about like the lifestyle, like the Bible in lifestyle, right? Like she's Christian and she's creating this for a Christian audience. And her animations, some animations are 15 minutes, some animations are 24 minutes, and it depends on the quality. She spends, I believe, like around 1 month, right? But she's getting faster with experience. And she told me that she animates now like 1 minute of animation with from zero, from nothing. She's doing shorts now, and she's doing like 1 minute animations for her YouTube channel, and she does 1 minute in 2 hours, right? From nothing, like the background, the character, the customization. And yet she uses speed rigging techniques. Instead of having a character from zero, she takes like elements from the content store and she customizes them, so it's original content. But again, it's exactly like Kai says, depending on the quality. If the quality is super high, let me tell you, we took 2 months to create, for example, this animation. Let me just open here, like this one, for example, these two. This is one where they just just the production. Animating it in Cartoon Animator was really fast, but the production, like the drawing, the backgrounds, etc., it was in total 2 months, right? And some parts, like this one, was frame by frame, right? So it does take work. This one was 1 month, right? And it's 1 minute. But you can see that for this, there's time invested in visualization, etc., and the story and the rigging, etc. So those animations do take. I like to increase the quality as much as possible, right? So it depends.
Yeah, I mean, there's no it's a very
It's up to you.
variable answer for sure. Let's go to the next one here from Charisse. If we create a movement for a character using a reference video, can we save that movement to use with other characters later?
Yes.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. I mean, one of the cool things about Cartoon Animator is you can basically save motions and you can transfer them to any other character you want, as long as they have the standard rig. And I think you, if you want to learn about rigs, you can take Mark's workshop there he's talking about earlier.
Mhm.
Yes, the quick answer there, Charisse, is definitely yes. Another
Yeah.
question from Tradarius. What was the most challenging animation you've had up onto this point?
Me
Yeah,
me
you can
is
go
the
first. Yeah.
it would be this one in Cartoon Animator. This one, right? But it was I didn't like the animation was quite simple. It was more about the production, like the all of this, right? So yeah, it's After Effects, it's color correction. That one is the one that we invested the most.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think for me, in terms of the 2D world, which I don't really do much work in 2D anymore, but I remember there was one where it was a advertisement that I had, like a freelance project, and there was a lot of stuff involved that it was like dancing around, and dancing, as you may know, often requires simulation of 3D, like 360-degree motions.
Mm.
So when you're using 2D software, you're trying to create 360-degree motions. There's a lot of challenges there. A lot of it involves, scaling stuff, stretching it, and trying to work around to simulate a 3D environment, because you're not drawing each frame. So what you're doing is you're trying to morph each frame from the last one to make it seem like it's actually 3D and make it seem like it's actually smooth. That's the biggest challenge, I would say, for myself. Let's go to the next one here, anyways, from Zazid. Hi, Mark. How can I apply springbone action on stage mode when the character is not moving? For example, when a character is only standing beside a beach and I want her hair to be moving. Is it possible with springbone? Thank you.
I do believe, yeah. Let me just go here really quick. You can change that in the settings for the bones. For example, let's go to this character.
Yeah, you can apply spring bones to any bone basically,
So, for
and yeah,
example,
it
for
can
that one,
flow. Yeah.
the type that the bony tail, like it's this one, it has, let's preview, it has this, right? So if I move this, now what you're asking is like for example, the wind, right? So if I had to do the wind, I would just so you know, let me show you. If I put the gravity up like this, it goes like whoop, it goes up like zero gravity, just so you know. So these are settings that you can play with, but also let me return this to 0. What I would do is just have the hair like this, and then when I'm animating, I would just move that specific bone. So I click on this character and then press K, select the hair. I'm trying to select the hair. Come on. Can I select the hair?
What are you in right now? Yes.
I'm
Zoom out.
trying to select the
Oh, 3D
hair of
motion
the
key editor.
motion key editor.
So you have to
Ah,
select the actual hair. I think the hair is a separate
okay.
item. Yeah. Yeah.
No. No, we have the miniskirt. Oh, I did. Well, the thing is, I would have the hair. I do have an example. Let me bring an example. Actually, I'm going to open. I just creating a character for one of my students. Close up with hair. And the way we have this rig is that we have the hair separate, so we can, it's not part of the character. It's a separate layer, but it's linked to the character, this one, right? It's just link and then link to the head. So if I move this character, the hair is following, but the hair is a separate element, right? It's because of the type of rig that this character is. Like when she turns to the sides like this, we need the hair to move, right? It's moving really well, but the hair needs to be relocated. So anyway, what I would do is take this hair, and if there was wind, I would just animate this bone. Like I would do this, right? And then just animate it like this, woo, woo, like up and down, like this. And that's it. Everything will follow through. So I would go, for example, this position, and then maybe go down a little bit, maybe 1 second, and then it goes down like this, and then it comes back again. Let me click on motion. It's transform. So look, I all I do now is copy and paste this, copy and paste, and I have this effect, right? So yeah, that is, hopefully that answers your question, but it's very simple. I would just have it as a separate element that I can animate.
Yeah, absolutely. Good example. I'm not sure what the makeup of the other character was. I've never messed around with that character, but yeah, that's what Mark showed is basically what you would want to do for sure. There's no wind simulator, unfortunately. There's no physics simulation yet in Cartoon Animator. Yet. It's coming up. Question from Benji. Can we mimic a 360-degree turnaround of the character whilst in motion with various body movements? I think I just touched on that briefly with a couple questions ago, Benji. You can simulate a 360-degree turnaround. However, be aware that you're going to face some challenges because in terms of the characters that are available right now, there's a workaround around to do it, workaround way rather to do it. Sorry, and it's because you're not drawing each frame by frame. You're basically using a template character, and these characters are meant to be facing either anywhere between 90 degrees. Basically, there's a 180-degree angle you're working with. It can be facing side, or front, and there's some very good transition between those two because it can even like the 360 heads, they can simulate the movement on that 180-degree angle. But if you're talking about like the full body, the body is where the challenge comes in. That's what I was mentioning earlier. That was challenging for me. You can do it, but what you have to do is you kind of have to do very detailed frame by frame editing, and you have to basically scale and squash and stretch certain body parts when they're supposed to be turning around. It gets complicated. It's way too complicated for this beginner webinar, but you can do it. However, right now it is very difficult, but there's good news because we are currently working on and are basically almost finishing up on the next tool, which is 360 body movement as well. All right, so you'll be really happy to see that. We're basically our smart engineers over there in Taiwan are working really hard, and they've discovered a way to basically 360 a 2D character, and you'll be really impressed when it comes out. That's coming up soon, I think next quarter. So, or not, maybe Q1 of 2024, I believe. But it's coming.
Nice.
Okay, so good news there. Next question from David here. I would like to turn a photo of a photo into a character.
Okay.
I only have a frontal shot. Can you recommend a good software to make profile shots so I have it moving from forward to left, right?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, David, because you're basically limited in your source material, you only have one frontal shot. If you're working with Cartoon Animator, you're basically stuck within, I'd say there's a 90-degree, 45 degrees right, 45 degrees left. You're kind of stuck with that within that level, within that range. if you're using a 3D software like iClone with character creator plugin called Headshot, for example, that can generate a 3D head from a 2D image. That's much better at what you're talking about in terms of a 360 movement. But in Cartoon Animator, you can certainly do it, but you're going to be kind of limited to, like I said, the 45 degrees left, 45 degrees right sort of range there. So yeah, that's what we're stuck with right now, unfortunately. But very good question, David. And I think that potentially that technology from our 3D software will be transferred down to our 2D software in the near future. Generally, that's what happens.
I have an idea, David. This is not a solution. This is if I was in your situation. What I understand is that it's not a person from who you take a picture and then you take the side, right? I understand that it's a photo. So you took a picture of that picture and that's all you got, and you need the side views, right? If I was you, I will test this. I will go to probably Midjourney or some AI tool and see if the AI right now has the power to create a side view of a photo, right? Maybe it won't, but maybe it will. I don't know. It's something you can test.
That's actually a really good suggestion, because you can actually, I mean, I've used Midjourney myself just to make fun of my friends, basically, with random pictures and stuff. But yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion, and one I normally wouldn't have thought about. So yeah, good suggestion there. Let's continue on, anyways, from John Ellert here. Motion Link only works within another program than CTA5. So questioning about Motion Link, I mentioned earlier, it's a connection between iClone and Cartoon Animator 5 specifically. iClone 8 and Cartoon Animator 5. So just make sure that you have the equivalent programs. It's 7 and 4. I think, was it introduced in 4? I think if you have iClone 7 and Cartoon Animator 4, it can still work. But just always try to be updated to the latest version if you can. And I know it certainly works with Cartoon Animator 5 and iClone 8. Question from Guri: is there any attractive deal to buy CTA 5 and resources? I think you'll just have to look at the software store there, Guri.
Oh yeah,
I think
there's like with power tools and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, or else get your I don't know, like niece or nephew with their student ID and get to 60% discount. I didn't say that. But it's obvious, that definitely helps. 60% off, right? I know we're in hard economic times, so just do what you can. Kayan McCarthy says, is there any other software you recommend? For example, Adobe Illustrator. I've used Adobe Illustrator a little bit in terms of 2D. I would say relatively that's on the same level as Cartoon Animator 5 in terms of functionality. It's also fairly new. There is, certain things in Adobe Illustrator that are pretty good. I mean, it really depends on you as a person. I know that obviously Adobe products, they're subscription based, which I hate.
You don't know, you don't own it. It's like rental.
Yeah, basically you're just renting it, and if you don't pay your bill 1 month, you're basically done. So and anything like that is unless it's necessary, I try not to do that, because I'm just not a fan of it. It's a money grab in my opinion. But yeah, I think nothing really. I mean, there's, what is that one called, the anime one,
Clip Studio with the Moho.
they started off doing the like anime style. It's Anime Studio, right?
Anime Studio is now Clip Studio. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. So see, I'm kind of a bit outdated on the 2D realm of things.
Yeah, but it's that one. Yes, Anime Studio. It's they changed it to Clip Studio.
Yeah, and I can't really. I've kind of just lost touch with the 2D realm in the recent years, but I think there's definitely what's the one that's the Canadian company there, the professional one over in. Oh man,
No.
I'm suffering from like heat stroke right now. The name is just like, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's like oh, I know who it is. Sorry guys, for any of you who know who I'm talking about, but it's a professional tool that's used for most, the high level professional 2D animation.
Toon Boom, Toon Boom.
Toon Boom, that's the one. Yes. Ah,
Thank you,
gosh.
Therese. She put it on the chat.
Toon Boom, yes. So based over in Eastern Canada there. I'm over here on the west in Vancouver, but Toon Boom is very comprehensive in terms of 2D animation. But again, it's a little pricier. So again, it's really up to you to choose what you want to do. I'm not, I'm not trying to push any software on anyone, but use what suits you and what you feel comfortable
And
with.
I would say also the decision is based on the goal. Like if I want speed, Cartoon Animator. If I want
Yeah.
like anime, like frame by frame, that's like I took 2 months to create a 2-second animation of an action in anime. It was 2 months, and I'm like, it's only because I enjoy drawing frame by frame, but it's a lot of work. I can show you really quick because I have it in here. I actually have it in a. I'm opening it on another screen first, but is. Let me just open the GIF because I have the GIF in here. Okay, this one. This is a 2-second animation of action anime, right? And that took 2 months, right? But it's like it's for a trailer, right? For a video game. That took you cannot do this in Cartoon Animator, but if I was to do something similar, I would just do like something super fast, like maybe not this quality. So you can see that it's what do you want? So the answer to what software is what do you want and what's possible with that software.
Cool. And I just noticed in the chat here, who was it? Mark Dent mentioned that Toon Boom is subscription based. Again, which sucks, but and Toon Boom is normally used in for studios that have more than one animator working on the same project for sure. And it's pricier, but if you feel you're comfortable with that level of price and that level of animation capability, then recommend it for sure. A question from anonymous here, Mark. Once we buy one of your courses, would you contact Reillusion to reach out through you or to your 2D animation website? I think that would be through you, right?
Yeah, like there's some courses are also available in Revolution, like the Cartoon Animator 5 bundle. It's 6 courses in one, but more advanced courses, they are in our website.
Yeah, it depends who you buy from, where you buy it from. Just go use that as a guide. Kai, does anyone ever recognize how much you do your web? Oh man, this is so sweet. This is such a sweet comment from anonymous attendee. The webinars have been so helpful. Icon and character creator. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. To anonymous attendee, I don't know who you are, but very nice comment. They said the webinars and tutorials have really helped them. I'm really happy about that. That makes my day when people learn and able to help them, especially help them make money, from their software. Just release their creative energy inside. I think that's really awesome. Gary Pie, Mark and Kai looking good. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Gaz. Gary is he's here on the webinar today. He's the guy who's going to be doing the webinar next week, the Ask a Pro webinar. Plug for Gary. You can check out all his stuff. Gary Pie Creations, I believe, on the content store. Just search Gary Pie. It's Pye, not Pie. He's not a delicious pastry, but he's a delicious man. Sherry says, will the 360 body movement be included later on in Cartoon Animator 5, or will the 360 body movement feature be only included? Good question. So Charisse rather is asking, the 360 body movement, is that Cartoon Animator 5 point whatever or 6? Now, I did give you a very positive, optimistic answer earlier on where, yeah, I have seen the results and they look really good myself in Q&A testing and stuff. I can't give you that answer yet, because that is still being decided, and that's a internal secret.
And just so you know, also something that is like a lot of people were complaining like, the G2 characters could rotate. Yeah, but rigging a G2 character was hell. And there's people there's students so like, no, I rig G2 characters. Okay, what do? I'm a coder. I'm a developer. Yeah, for you're an engineer. It's easy. Like but the process for the normal person is so complicated. And the reason why they have been working so hard, because I saw a preview of the 360 body, and they told me, yeah, Mark, but you know what? Yeah, it works right now, but it's still very complicated. So they are simplifying it as much as possible. And that is what takes a long, long, hard work. Like the iPad, it's so simple. Like I had a friend of mine who was like, my daughter is so smart. She's using the iPad. And I'm thinking, no, the guys at Apple are incredibly smart that they made it so simple for us to use, right? That even a baby can use it, right? So the guys at Revolution, the developers, heroes, they are amazing. So,
Yeah, they're a bunch of smart cookies over there for sure. Question from BBB here. Can you use 3D and 2D motions with a single character? Yes, you can. Can a character only reverse direction when you use a 3D motion? No, not necessarily. There's a flip function in Cartoon Animator where you can flip left to right. So that's just basically, hopefully that answers your question there. Anything to add there, Mark?
No, in general, that I think you covered it. The flip
Cool.
function.
Yeah, flip in Cartoon Animator. Yeah, easy to use. Anil asks, can we animate bangles with spring bone as you'd have made in? I think we just answered that, Anil. He's saying animate the bangs, like I think he's talking about bangs from like
Yeah,
the hair.
bangles with spring bone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have quickly, Anil. I would just have it as a separate element, right?
Yeah.
A separate character.
Yeah, I'd have to go in because I know you can do it as well with because the hair is attached as an accessory, I think, in Cartoon Animator. You can do it manually there as well, but yeah, the example Mark showed is probably just the way to do it for now. Okay, sorry that you had you said that the results were not good for yourself, but hopefully Mark's little demo there helped you out. So just give that a shot. And there's also, we have a community of users, Facebook, as well as other social media that you can always ask questions there as well and get feedback from other people. Let's go to a question from Jonathan here. There's a limited time offer on original character creator for CTA 5, which includes rigging, mastering, and a couple of other things.
That's on my page. Yeah.
That's on Mark's page.
Yeah.
How long is it offered for? I'll
I'll
probably buy it, just not right now.
Okay, Jonathan, that was on November last year. It's no longer available. Now what's going to happen is that we are launching the speed rigging course. It's about to be launching in a couple of weeks. So yeah, that was an offer that passed away. It was on November, not anymore.
Okay.
Oh no, wait, no, wait. It's because I still have a video. Wait, I remember a student reported. Yeah, but I just got this video. That I need to update my page. But I think send me an email. Send me an email to. Let me post my email right here. mds@2danimation101.com, and then I can come back to you with a link. Right? You did not understand my question, says Anil. Okay, Anil, please repost your question. Bangles that woman wears in the wrist.
Oh, bangles on the wrist. Oh, I see. Yeah, like the bracelets.
Okay, so if she's moving, having those with, yeah, all of that can be added too. Yeah, you can just add springs to them and then just have them. Right.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit tricky, but you can do it for sure. Yeah. Kian McCarthy. Kian? I asked this because I want to make my own characters on Cartoon Animation, and I realized I need Adobe. You don't necessarily need Adobe. Yeah,
you can use Affinity Designer or Affinity Photo. It's the closest to Photoshop and Illustrator without subscription.
Yeah, Inkscape also is free, I believe. I've used that in the past. You can use a whole number of other different softwares. There's a lot of software out there actually that's similar to Photoshop and similar to Illustrator. That's like free or next to nothing basically in terms of price. They're slower, they're not as refined, but I definitely recommend checking a lot of them out. Affinity Designer is one that Mark just mentioned. Inkscape is one that I've used in the past. GIMP is another one that is free, completely free, and I've enjoyed using GIMP in the past. So yeah, do a little bit of research. See, like, search like Adobe Photoshop alternatives. There's some good stuff out there. How does Cartoon Animator 5 compare to Moho? So that's something I can't really answer because I've never
I
really used
I
Moho. Have you?
used Moho. Basically, Pavel, Moho is like it's comparable more to Toon Boom than to Cartoon Animator. Cartoon Animator is fast production, low cost. That's what. So if you are a YouTuber, for YouTubers I recommend Cartoon Animator, because you can produce animations really quickly, and you can save one movement that your character has, save it as a motion clip, and reuse it and recycle. Right. So definitely, and answering more in depth, this could be done in Moho, right? All of these that I did in here, this could be done in Moho because Moho can do frame by frame. But that's the thing. You would have to invest the 2 months that I invest. 2 months because I was exploring and learning how to do this. Now I would probably do it in a month and a half, but it's still a long time to animate. So Moho would be like, you can do really advanced stuff or more basic stuff, but if you want to rig, Cartoon Animator is faster than Moho, but you can still do really powerful rigs on Moho.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Mark. Filled in for me there. Question here from anonymous attendee: do you think AI is a threat to 2D animation? What do you think, Mark?
Actually, that's a question that I get a lot. Like it's AI. Like the real answer is right now. I can tell you right now. I don't know what's going to happen later, because a lot of people are it's AI is getting smarter and smarter. But I can tell you this: it still requires input. And I saw on like this video that went viral. Like, did we just change animation? And it was these guys who do rock paper scissors animation, really epic in 2D using AI. But here's the thing: they actually produce a short film that turn every frame into drawings, right? So I don't think it's a threat to like AI right now cannot do what Cartoon Animator can do right now, right? But I don't know, maybe 10 years from now, maybe it will, but not right now. I wouldn't like it's, and you still need the vision and the creativity.
Yeah, I agree. I think AI is a it's fun to kind of mess around with right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do it can't really take specific instructions very well. In my opinion, I just don't think it's at the point right now, even 5 years and 10 years in the future, where it's going to be able to replace like animators who can take detailed instructions and do specific tweaks and refinements to animations. I don't think it's at that point. Definitely not yet. I'm not sure if it'll be there in 5 years or 10 years, but I'm hoping that we'll always have a market for 2D animators and 3D animators in general.
Mm.
And I mean, the whole writer strike thing going on right now in Hollywood. People are saying, oh, the AI is going to take over writers' jobs as well. So there people are all concerned about these AIs taking over different jobs. And you know what, I personally believe there's always going to be a market for human made content, whether it be script writing, whether it be art, whether it be animation. I think that there's always going to be a market there for the stuff that we create as humans. um who knows? I'm not a big fan.
Mm. And I actually, I believe right now AI helps you animate faster for the backgrounds. Like you can create all your backgrounds, but not animation right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a long way. It's still to figure out a lot of stuff. Like right now, it had like some weird motion graphics effects, but not the character animation that feels organic.
Yeah, I always find that if you ask it to generate something, it'll generate like a sixth finger or something just randomly, or
Yeah, like
these
something
weird
like
little
it
things that are just
has.
don't make sense. So yeah, it's not at that point yet. I think 10 years we'll see, but all right. So let's go continue on anyways from a question from Walter. Um, should you repeat the way of movement / animation you have informed? I am interesting. I'm not sure what that is referring to.
Walter
Um,
Brito, should you repeat the way of movement or animation you have informed? Can you clarify that?
he has some questions later on. I can just see them already, so we'll
Yeah.
skip that one for now, and hopefully there's something more specific there.
Okay.
Um, so Anonymous asks about Kestrel's moon creature. Kestrel Moon's creature. Have you heard of that?
No, compared to no, I
I have
haven't.
not.
Sorry.
Sorry, Anonymous. I have never heard of that either. So you can put a link in the chat window if you want to inform people. That seems pretty obscure, but it might be cool. You never know. Walter asks, how you deal to get a back image continuing with a running? I think this is probably like a character running. Maybe like parallax having a background move across the screen. There's something called parallax, which is a little too detailed to kind of go into right now. But Walter, I think there's a lot of tutorials you can check out on the Reusing Courses page that talk about how to move a background with your character running in place. I mean, there's two ways you can simulate motion of a character, really. One is actually move the character, and the other is just keep the character stationary but move the background. So you can
Mm.
actually do both, but yeah, it depends. Um, I'm trying not to get into any more too detailed questions right now because we're running on a couple hours here. So I'm just going to answer these last few here, and hopefully, if you guys have any further questions, I really welcome you to go to our forums, especially our Facebook page. Our Facebook group is very active. Gary Pye is actually the curator of the Facebook page, so you can check out, talk to him. He's on there like all the time. He's a Facebook addict.
Yeah,
I
I also have questions. And when you ask something less than 24 hours, someone from the community already popped in. Like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I asked recently, like if anyone has tested Cartoon Animator 5 on Mac with amazing results. Like 2 hours later, I had like 3 replies. Like, yeah, I tested it, like it works, but it's slower. So they instead bought a laptop. And
Yeah.
now, okay, I wanted to know.
There's a
It's
lot of
be-
people with a lot of time out there. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's because I was between getting a Surface, a Windows Surface, or getting a MacBook or something.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
then okay, then I went with a Windows one, so I can install Cartoon. It's for when I travel to be able to be in answering questions to students in Cartoon Animator.
Right on. Quick
Yeah,
question from Mark. Was that a timeline for an Inkscape pipeline? I haven't heard anything specifically about Inkscape, but I mean, it can edit PSD files, so it acts the same as Photoshop. You don't need Photoshop if it can handle PSD files. There's no specific Inkscape file format that needs to be really dealt with, as far as I know. So PSD should work just fine, but no,
SVG
unfortunately,
says he put
on the
on the
chat.
chat
Oh, I have the chat
SVG
covered up here.
vector.
Oh, Vector. Yeah, so Vector right now is only with Illustrator, unfortunately. Although if you deal with SVG, I think it should work on Inkscape too. I don't see why not. Um, yeah, I think that should be fine as long as it can handle SVG files. Then it should be okay. I'm
Um,
not going to go into detail on that right now, unfortunately, but
but by the way, let me answer something really quick to Jonathan. Jonathan, you sent me the message on email. Thank you. Quick announcement to everybody. Tomorrow, I'm like I usually I get emails after webinars. I won't be able to answer right away because I'm gonna have surgery tomorrow, and then but it's not invasive. It's like it's with laparoscopy. It's really safe and like high technology, right? Like very comfortable. So it's quick recovery, but I won't be available in the morning is when I answer my emails. So just patience. I would take probably an extra 24 hours. But yeah, okay, I'll get back to you, Jonathan. Alrighty.
Oh, I didn't know that, man. Good luck on your surgery tomorrow. Hopefully
Thank you.
that goes well for you. I just put the yeah, be safe, Mark. I think
There it is.
everyone wishes you
Yes.
their best. This is the
Thank
Facebook
you.
group I put on the
Thank you.
chat there for you guys. I think
Thank you, Deborah.
all
Yeah,
right.
and they posted the link to the Facebook group. I recommend you guys join it. It's really active
Yeah, the Facebook group is really active
and very
if you're a
supportive.
Facebook user. Yeah. Mohammed mentions here, professionals have mentioned that cartoon animator is not really professional and has limited capabilities. Completely agree with that. You know, there's definitely limited capabilities in Cartoon Animator. We're only in version 5. A lot of these programs that are used by like AAA studios, they're in like version 15 or 16. You know, so I think when Cartoon Animator gets to that level, it'll definitely be awesome. But we are catching up fast because this industry is always evolving, and I think that, like we mentioned many times earlier, it all depends on what you want to get done.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also doubling on this, Cartoon Animator again. If you want professional, like for the industry and anime and all of that, probably you need something else. But if you want speed and low cost productions, Cartoon Animator.
yeah,
Right.
I can
The Cartoon Animator is for speed. Is different.
completely agree there. Yeah, speed, and and obviously if you take the time, there's workarounds. You can still get similar results.
Yeah.
But yeah, just make sure that
And like
you're
you saw me do an animation in 13 seconds. Like if I do that in Clip Studio, I will have to devote like a week on it, frame by frame.
yeah, exactly. Got a quick question from Anonymous here. Which game engines work best with Cartoon Animator? I've actually done a project before previously where I worked with Unity game engine and I exported sprite sheets from Cartoon Animator to create like moving animations and stuff. And I actually exported an entire scene from
Mhm.
Cartoon Animator over to Unity game engine. So for those of you who aren't aware, Unity is more of a game engine that's focused more on mobile games. And a lot of it has to do with 2D games as well. So they really it really works well. And it's the other option is Unreal, which is a little bit more complex in some areas and really works really well with 3D and their rendering is excellent. But I would recommend if you want to take your Cartoon Animator animations into a game engine, check out Unity first and see what you can get done there. That's a whole nother can of worms that I don't want to open. Uh,
The Pandora's box.
yeah, we should have a separate webinar on that basically. Okay, so guys, it seems like the question list is just getting longer and longer, despite how many questions we've answered. So I'm going to answer a few more questions here. We're gonna basically
Wrap
cut
it
the
up.
clock here at 8 o'clock local here in Vancouver.
But
About
by
seven
the
more
way,
minutes.
let me jump in really quick. There's
Sure.
some questions that can be answered in Gary Pye's webinar, like characters holding hands. Gary Pye can cover that, and also he's gonna cover how to have characters hug, which is much more if you can have characters hug. So just check the link they posted it on the chat. I'm going to repost it again, so you can register to Gary Pye's webinar to continue this. Right? Let me see. Here it is. Okay, so yeah, I recommend that. Continue, Kai.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was just reading the upcoming questions here. One that I thought was pretty important was if we create motion comics in Cartoon Animator, this is from Anonymous, what format can we export it to that will be interactive? So basically, Cartoon Animator is not an interactive software. It's not a game engine
Mm.
per se. So what you would do is you would export clips, you would export animations, and those animations can be triggered, can be played at
In
certain
Unity,
points,
for example,
yeah,
right?
in your game engine. So if like you have a character, you have a running animation. Your character runs, and they run up to this person, cutscene, other animation plays. all that cutscene, all the interactive stuff is done in the game engine. It's not done in Cartoon Animator, but the animations that you trigger are done in Cartoon Animator. So just to hopefully that's clear to you there. Okay, Mark has this is a specific question for you, Mark, from Doug McMenamin. That's a hard one. Have you thought about providing a certification path for users? I'm self-taught, and you own just about everything that Reillusion has. So
I actually do. I there's like an automatic certification that you get from finishing a course, but I am not proud of those. I do provide certification for when you graduate, like for when you show me your results, the things that you can do, and those certifications are things that I can show to other it would be a certification and your portfolio that I can show to students who want to hire someone, right? Like, Mark, they want to hire us, and I'm like, we are not for hire. Like, instead, I prefer to get students, graduate them, and then they get hired, right? And they recover all the investment they have done. So yeah, the certificate is, I do have a high standard on the quality that I'm looking for. And yeah, if you can do really cool animations or really cool characters that you can rig, etc., then yes, that is something that happens live and we have a call, etc., like an interview. So yeah.
okay, cool. Let's skip to these next couple of questions here really quick, 3 minutes, and then we're gonna cut it off. Like I mentioned, guys, you can always email us, approach the Facebook group with questions that we don't answer today. I'm just going to go through and see the ones that are most relevant. Kian asks, can I make characters touch each other, like hold hands? Yes, you can do that. There's a little workaround.
In detail can be with Gary Pye.
Yeah, I think Gary will probably mention how to do this in his Ask a Pro webinar next week. So make sure you sign up for that. You mentioned, or it says here that you wanted to answer this one. Mark John Ellert asks, what's the best way to make characters for Cartoon Animator 5?
Yes, I was answering on the chat. That's a long answer. The answer is right, here is right there in the tutorials by Kai, but I would say depends on your goal. What do you want? Like, if you want speed, you can use the characters, like a lot of assets from the content store, like Sophia, one of our students, and she creates original characters by customizing them, changing their eyes, changing the nose. But so another character uses another method, the speed rigging method. You get a rig, and then you put all the drawings of your animation. This is already rigged, and then you swap the images, and then you don't have to rig anything. The character already has the 360 head. There are tools for that. I'm working on a course called Speed Rigging, really advanced course about that, like creating your characters super fast. And also we're working on the character design course for Cartoon Animator 5. That's going to be also advanced.
Awesome. Okay. That answers that question. Anonymous mentioned here that this is the Kestrel Moons creature.
Ah, here it is.
You can probably just Google that. Maybe you want to put that in the chat window. I'll just
yeah, I can see it. I see one. Yeah, it's it's very, yeah, like, I think it's cool. It looks cool. It's compatible with Unreal, etc. Yeah.
Maybe throw that into the chat window if people are interested.
Yeah.
Question from Anil. There's talking about the Z-axis basically in Cartoon Animator. Yes, there is a Z-axis, Anil. There is an X, Y, and also a Z-axis. The Z-axis allows you to move things forward and backwards. There's tutorials on that basic movements in yeah, I think Mark will probably show you here where to do that.
Yeah, it's really, once you have a character, you can move it up and up and down, like up and down to the sides. But this one makes it far away or close, right? That's the axis, and you can also go to this view and move it in here and have other elements like other props, just one click away right here, 3D view.
Yeah. That's very useful when you're trying to create sort of a parallax effect where you're creating sort of a depth, simulating a 3D depth in a 2D animation software. Okay, that was from Anil. Okay. So next question, we're gonna go to Doug. Is Doug again? Are there plans to integrate the 2D world with 3D even more? I believe the potential is enormous. He says, good luck in your surgery, Mark.
Thank you.
Um, yes, I mean, the cool thing about Revolution is we have both 2D and 3D software. And I think that we are able to really interchangeably swap the technologies between those two in very creative ways. We've already done that a few times. Like I said, with the link plugin that we just mentioned, it's excellent to you can try it out. Honestly, it'll kind of blow your mind at first. It's not perfected yet, but still is very useful. In terms of the future, yes, we're definitely obviously with the 3D bodies coming in, it's going to be even better. So I can definitely tell you that going to become more and more integrated. And I
Ooh.
don't see any stall or stop to that trend. Question from Mohammed: is lip sync for characters available for any character I bring into the program, or only for characters attached to the program? Uh, yes, it's
For
available
any
for.
character.
You have to have any character, but you have to have
The
obviously the lip
settings.
sprites available to this goes deep into the character creation uh, level of things. So you need to be able to have a character with different mouth shapes. There's a template, there's a white paper that you can check out, and it basically talks about how to create these characters. Make sure you have this and this and this and this. I mean, you have to have a ooh, ee, ah kind of like mouth shape for your character to simulate the speech. So and that's up to you to create that. We have templates that are available that provide it all for you, and you just have to basically do the art yourself. All right. I think Anil, I think we're gonna be just kind of cutting it off here because we're at 2 hours right now.
Yeah.
And I think you talked about After Effects. We do have an After Effects tutorial on our Realism courses page that talks specifically about organizing Cartoon Animator elements
Projects.
in After Effects. So I'd recommend searching for that and getting that checked out. But we've answered 68 questions. I think that's pretty good.
Whew.
Kind of like a whole hour of Q&A. So yeah, we'll just cut that off there then, guys. Thanks again, Mark, so much for being with us. I know it's a bit later over there, you're east of Mexico, right?
I'm actually kind of in the center, next to El Paso.
Right
I'm
in the middle.
on the border.
All right, on. Okay, cool. But anyways, thanks for being with us today, and really good luck on your surgery tomorrow. I think
Thank
it'll
you.
be it'll be
Thank you,
awesome.
everybody. And thank you,
And
everybody, for your blessings. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
yeah, we have a great community here. Thanks, guys, so much for the wishes for Mark's surgery. Um, thanks we appreciate the positive
Bye.
comments and everything. Yeah, so I think just remember to fill the survey and the contents, or at the 10% discount for the content store, fill out the survey. Remember to subscribe for the or sign up for the webinar next week with Gary Pye. There'll be a lot more questions answered there. And yeah, I think with that, we'll just say adios,
Adios.
amigos.
Adios, amigos. All righty. Take care,
All
everybody.
right. Thanks,
Bye.
Mark. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.